significance of Govardhan Puja, it is very, it's so important in our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. It cannot be that easily explained. If we see our great acharyas in our disciplic succession, almost everyone, all the teachers in our disciplic succession, they have visited Giri Govardhan, they have circumambulated Giri Govardhan, and some of them have resided there permanently. Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, to name a few. And as we know, Raghunatha Das Goswami, and in the later stage of his life, even Sanatan Das Goswami, they all resided very close to Govardhan. So, Govardhan Hill, it is such a very, very important place of pilgrimage for all of us. I don't feel that I have any kind of a realization or qualification to be able to speak about this particular pastime. But I was very inspired when I was reading about this, as well as this, the time of the year now we are celebrating this pastime. So my intention today is, just to repeat what our acharyas have said. I hope and pray for your mercy so that at least I will be able to repeat it as I have heard it. So my thought is just to speak something based upon this verse here in Srimad Bhagavatam. And then there is this beautiful description of Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill, written by Jiva Goswami in Gopal Chambu. And it so happened that one of our very senior devotees, one of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, His Grace Sriman Kushakrata Das, had done the translation of this Gopal Chambu before he left his body in Vrindavan. His goal was actually to translate almost all of Goswami literature, and he completed most of it. And this particular translation, it has become more sweeter because it has come from the heart of Sriman Kushakrata Das. And so I had the good fortune of hearing that from Dravida Dasa Prabhu. And so when I heard that, it became all the more nectarian. So I thought, more than me speaking, I would like to read that section to you, just a very small portion. And also, based on that description, it was amazing to note that Srila Rupa Goswami had written a great poem about Govardhan Dhari Krishna. And it reiterates the same writings of Jiva Goswami, even though Rupa Goswami is elder to Jiva. And Rupa Goswami touches upon some aspects of this pastime of Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill. So if the time permits, I would like to recite those verses. That's my hope, and we'll see what time we have. So this verse is Gopairmakhe pradihade vraja viplavaya deve abhivashyati pashun kripaya ririkshu dardo chilindram iva sapta dinani sapta vasho mahidram anaghaika karesha lilam. When the cowherd men of Vrindavan, under the instruction of Krishna, stopped offering sacrifice to the heavenly king Indra, the whole tract of land known as Braja was threatened with being washed away by constant heavy rains for 7 days. Lord Krishna, out of his causeless mercy upon the inhabitants of Braja, held up the hill known as Govardhana with one hand only, although he was only 7 years old. He did this to protect the animals from the onslaught of water. I'll read it one more time. When the cowherd men of Vrindavan, under the instruction of Krishna, stopped offering sacrifice to the heavenly king Indra, the whole tract of land known as Braja was threatened with being washed away by constant heavy rains for 7 days. Lord Krishna, out of his causeless mercy upon the inhabitants of Braja, held up the hill known as Govardhan with one hand only, although he was only 7 years old. He did this to protect the animals from the onslaught of water. So this whole Govardhan lila, what we see is that in the whole land of Vrindavan, Krishna's grandson Vajranatha had installed more than 500 villages. There are many places of pastimes. Krishna has performed many pastimes in different parts of Brajamandal. But in Govardhan, Krishna performed all the pastimes. His interactions with various types of devotees. That is the very special thing about Govardhan. In addition to the fact that Govardhan is known as the greatest of the devotees, because he is known as Harivarsha Varya, Haridasa Varya. Uddhava, who is Krishna's very close associate, is also Haridasa. But Govardhan is known as Haridasa Varya, the best among all the devotees. So Govardhan is such a very special place where Krishna performed so many different pastimes and where he had very special interactions with all type of devotees. So all the other places of pastimes of Krishna, usually you may see one particular type of interaction. Krishna performed Rasa Lila in Vamshivada, very famous. But there are many Rasasthalis around Vrindavan, so around the Govardhan Hill. Govardhan Hill provided many beautiful minerals for decorating the body of Krishna. Govardhan Hill had many caves where Krishna took rest when it was hot or when it is cold, it is warm. It's studded with many precious jewels and gems and extraordinary place of Krishna's pastimes. So what is the big thing about lifting a hill in one hand? For the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything emanates. Krishna is the source of material and spiritual world. I have my little children here. I'm inspired to see them because they inspire me so much. Thank you for being here. And so there is this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom the whole creation is emanating. So what is the big problem for Krishna to lift one hill? The hill is about 6 kilometers in length. I don't know how many miles that would be, 2 point something multiply, right? That many miles, 6.6 kilometers. That is the length and breadth of the hill. So for all these planetary systems in creation, everything is staying in place by Krishna's arrangement. Nothing is colliding with each other. So everything is arranged perfectly. So for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, lifting Govardhan Hill using one hand is not a big task. But Govardhan Lila is celebrated as the greatest of Krishna's pastimes. And so the great thing here is, in this Srimad Bhagavatam verse, it is said that Krishna stopped the offerings that were ready to be made to Indra. Now, who is Indra? Indra is the king of heaven. So when we look at the creation, description of creation of the universe, when the universes are manifest from its unmanifest state, the first living entity who is come into being is Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma is the secondary creator. But Lord Brahma, he does not personally create different forms of bodies. It is actually Lord Brahma's children who are the Manus and the great sages who repopulate the whole universe. So it's not only population that is needed, it's also the management of that. We have like, what do you call it, PMO for this place? Project Management Officers. So for our little temple here, we have a project management team. So for the universal scale of management, it's not only population that is needed, it's also managers who can control and regulate the water supply, the movement of the winds, the control of the fire, all these engineering aspects of the universe. It has to happen. And so that is why there are these empowered personalities like Indra, Chandra, Varuna. All these personalities are given responsibilities for managing these affairs. So there is this one part of Srimad Bhagavatam, we see that from a different angle, the story of Vritrasura. Vritrasura demon's story, we see it from an entirely different angle in Srimad Bhagavatam. But Vritrasura was a demon who held the water supply. So Indra had to fight and kill the demon. So it shows us how important it is to have everything happen in a timely fashion. If the sun does not rise at a certain time, there will not be any crops. If the rain does not fall, the plants cannot grow. If there is no grains, human beings cannot live. So everything is dependent upon so many factors. And so Indra is a very, very critical personality. And in the Vedic system, within the Vedas, when you study the Vedas, you will see that there is entire sections within Vedas which describes the glorification of these personalities. Worship of Indra, worship of Surya, worship of Chandra, all these things are described there. So this is demigod worship. But here, for the cowherd community of Vrindavan, these rains are very, very important, because without the rains, the grass will not grow. Without the grass, the cows cannot sustain, and all these things. And so traditionally, this community which is following the Vedic system, they were totally dependent on this, and they thought that it is, they have been generations after generations after generations, they were worshipping Indra. And this is their tradition. So, when Nanda Maharaj was arranging for this worship, they were busy going around. It was the end of the Ashwin month, very famous. And Nanda Maharaj was going around arranging all these things. And Krishna, the little boy, he realizes that Indra has become very envious of Krishna. Krishna has another name. His name is Upendra. He is known as Upendra because he took birth he incarnated as Vamanadev, and when he came as Vamanadev, he is the 12th of the Adityas. There are 12 Adityas who are the sons of the great personality called Aditi. The Adityas, the 12 Adityas. So Vamanadev was the youngest of that. Thereby, since Krishna came as the youngest of the Adityas, Krishna has this name as Upendra. So always there is this sibling rivalry going on between Indra and Krishna. It's not only just at this time of Govardhan Hill. There was a time later when Krishna went to the heavenly planet to get the Parijata tree for Satyabhama. So Indra kind of argued it out with Krishna that how can you take this? You cannot take this down to the earth because these trees are specifically meant to be only in the heavenly planet. You cannot take this to the earthly planet. He kind of talked down to Krishna as though Krishna does not know what this is all about. But eventually Krishna brought the Parijata tree down. So in the case of this Govardhan Lila, the Nanda Maharaj was going around arranging all these things, and Krishna, the little boy, thought, this Indra has become very arrogant, so I have to stop him. So Krishna went and asked his father, my dear father, what are you doing this for? who are you doing this for? Why are you keeping on asking these questions? And Nanda Maharaj at first thought, what is this little boy going to know? Anyway, he's only a small 7-year-old boy. There is no need for me to explain all this. But then he was trying to explain, and Krishna immediately came up with these counter arguments, like following this karma mimamsa theory of Jaimini. He kind of put forward, in fact, Krishna's arguments, when you read it, it is very interesting because it doesn't make any sense at all. It's very senseless argument, but he convinced the father very quickly. His argument was, all you need to do is you do your duty. You don't need to bother about Indra. Don't need to worship all these demigods. All you need to do is you just worship the cows, the brahmanas, and the Govardhan hill. So he did not say, worship me. This was so beautiful because he said, worship the cows, worship the brahmanas, worship the Govardhan hill. It is, Krishna is redirecting the attention of his father and the cowherds towards Govardhan hill, who is a great devotee. And the interesting aspect of this Govardhan lila is when Krishna assumes the form of Govardhan. Through that method, everybody is worshipping Krishna. And later, now we are worshipping Govardhan Shila as Krishna himself. Thereby, Krishna glorified the position of Govardhan. There is so many things in Govardhan lila. And so Krishna will argue with Nanda Maharaj and very quickly convince him. And immediately, this is the beauty. It is said Krishna comes to protect his devotees. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam. Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So this Govardhan lila is a very clear-cut example of Krishna protecting his devotees. And so when Nanda Maharaj immediately changed the whole arrangement and Krishna gave directions how to worship the hill. So they were asked to prepare many types of preparations and they decorated the peaks of the hill. They made peaks of different kinds of varieties of rices and vegetables which resembled the minerals of the hill itself. They made lakes of geese and lakes of milk and rivers of milk. All this was arranged. And then Krishna showed them how to worship. And then Govardhan manifests. I don't want to explain that because I want you to hear what Jiva Goswami has to say. Because I cannot explain it it's amazing. You got to hear that. So this is how, and coming before we go to that. So this worship of Indra is another thing. Even though the cowherds were worshipping Indra, Indra had never made himself visible to them. So they don't even know what Indra looks like. But Govardhan, when he manifested, he very nicely will say, look, all those demigods you were worshipping, did they ever come in front of you? Did they ever show himself to you? Now look at me. I am going to show my true form. I am going to eat everything that you have given to me right in front of you. I am going to accept it. It said he accepted, he received, he grabbed things, he ate it in front of them, he showed his satisfaction, he pleased everybody. This is Govardhan. So this Indra's the experience, it is said that it seems when India got independence, one time one reporter went to Vrindavan and asked the villagers there, some village person was working in the field and asked him, what do you think about India getting independence from Britishers? And this villager said, what Britisher? He did not even know there was this British rule in India. So similarly, they don't know anything. In Brajavasis, they don't know anything. They are so absorbed. Whatever Krishna says, that is all what they know. They don't need to know anything at all. So what happened was, after this whole Govardhan Puja was over, after the whole Govardhan Puja was over, and then Krishna will circumambulate this whole Govardhan. Not only did he circumambulate, the cows were decorated, their horns were covered with gold, their hoofs were decorated with silver, they were garlanded, they were covered in beautiful silk cloths, and the villagers were following the cows, and Krishna was dancing in the middle of the cowherd boys. He had his flute in his hand, he had his cowherding stick in his hand. He will throw the cowherding stick up in the air, he will catch it, he will dance around everybody, and everybody's eyes was only focused upon Krishna. This is not difficult to imagine. Like when we go for parikram, if Maharaj is walking in front of us, where do our eyes go? We go, where is Maharaj? That's what we are looking. We just keep following him around. And imagine Krishna right in the middle of you. So what Krishna used to say is he will throw the sticks, and sometimes the stick will go far away and he will run to catch the stick. And sometimes the cows and baby calves will run away from the path of parikram. So on the pretext of chasing after the cows, he will run. He will run into the middle of the gopis. And sometimes he will teach Radharani and come. All these gopis from the back of this parikram path, they were all always looking for Krishna. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? That was their anxiety all the time throughout doing all this. So he finishes the parikram, comes back, and that's when this whole rain thing starts. So it is said that the first day of the month, this Govardhan Puja happens, the first day of the month. And then, third day onwards is the lifting of Govardhan hill is taking place. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th, 7 days. Krishna lifts Govardhan hill on his left hand. And then, the 9th day, either 9th or 10th day, Indra comes back to apologize. So, this is the sequence of things that is happening. So, now, there is one other thing I wanted to mention was this Govardhan Puja. So, Krishna instituted this. Until Krishna told them to do worship Govardhan, they were simply worshipping Indra. So it was a revolutionary idea. Krishna telling, stop worshipping the demigod, you worship me. So this was a completely Vaishnava way of worship was introduced. Krishna bringing their attention to him. You do it for me, whatever I tell you. This is what he instituted in this Govardhan worship. But in course of time, this once Krishna left the planet, at that time there was a depopulation. All this population, the persons living around in Mathura and surrounding areas, there was like a depopulation. What happened was, Krishna took all the residents of Mathura to Dwaraka. He did not make them walk or take them come in a bullock cart or anything. It's like a Star Trek kind of a thing. We just sucked them out of there. And so the only people who remained in Mathura were these Chaturvedi Brahmanas. They are called as the Chaube. Chaubes, they are expert in chanting the Vedic mantras. So they remained there, and some monkeys remained there. They were the only ones who were there. So when Krishna left the planet, then Maharaja Yudhishthira will install Vajranabha, who is the grandson of Krishna. Krishna's son was Aniruddha, and his son was this Vajranabha. So Maharaja Yudhishthira will install Vajranabha as the king of Mathura. Now Mathura was a very opulent place, but there was no people. So he was the king, but who is he going to rule? There wasn't hardly anybody there. So he was a little bit confused. At that time, Maharaja Parikshit was the king in Hastinapur. So Parikshit Maharaj will visit Vajranabha, and Vajranabha will consult with him and ask him what to do. There is nobody here to rule. And so he will say, I don't know what to do either. So we should go and consult with this, Sandilya Muni, who is this great sage living nearby, will take his advice and do what he is saying us to do. So they went to see this great sage, and the sage will tell him, you go and bring people from Hastinapur and nearby places and repopulate Mathura and all. But remember, Govardhan was already there. But the nearby villages, everything was empty. And so he will send, he will tell Vajranabha, go bring people from other places, repopulated the place. He repopulated the place. And then he re-established Mathura. Mathura was a very beautiful city. And he established it as his capital. And he also re-established many subdivisions. Like, is Sarita Sharma here? Deeg, there is a place called Deeg, right? Dirgapur, he is also from Mathura. Dirgapur or someplace, Deeg, Nandagram, all these places actually was re-established by Vajranatha. And so he established the deity of Gopal. Now this Gopal deity had to be hidden from people because many times Muslim invaders, these are Persians. Persian people were living in the Central Asia. I think this plain Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan and all those places. This person who was a great invader, his name was Genghis Khan. And his people, all these Turkish people were living there in that part of the world, Uzbekistan. And they will come invade India. And where will they go? Mathura. That is their place of attack. And so within the 1,000 years time period, it is said these Turks, they came and attacked India at least 5 to 6 times. And they never stay there. They will come, invade, destroy everything, take whatever they can get their hands on, go back. They do this, 5, 6 times they did it. So there was this most beautiful deity of Lord Keshava made of gold. And his eyes were made of emerald. And they came and stole the deity. And they destroyed the deity. They put the deity on the steps of their mosque. And it's said that even now the deity may be in the steps of the mosque. And they did like this. So because of this, all the main deities of Vrindavan needed to be hidden. So this deity of Gopal, established by Vajranatha, was buried under earth. And so Madhavendra Puri, when he came to Vrindavan, one of the devotees gave a class on that particular topic. I remember very clearly here in this temple hall. So Madhavendra Puri, there was one long story how he had this dream and he found Gopal deity buried under the hill. And he brought the deity out and then re-established the worship, started the Govardhan Puja again. So we have to thank Madhavendra Puri for Govardhan worship. He made the villagers prepare so many preparations and worship Govardhan. Everything was reinstated. But then again and again, when invasion came, this original deity of Gopal was moved to Nadadwar in Jaipur. Later, Vallabhacharya installed a deity of Gopal on top of Govardhan. And when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Govardhan, he prohibited everyone. He would not put his foot on Govardhan hill. So thereby, all of us who are followers of Lord Chaitanya, we never walk on Govardhan hill. When we go for parikram, we make sure we stay away from the hill. We don't want to put our foot on the Govardhan shilas. That has to be very careful. And so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very much eager to see this Gopal deity. And the Gopal deity manifested a pastime. There was some threat at that time, again, that the deity is in major trouble. And so the villagers there, they took the deity from the hill and they were transporting the deity to another nearby village. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu happened to come there and he see the deity, Gopal deity being transported. And this is how he took darshan of the deity. There's a beautiful picture of this in Delhi ISKCON temple and Parthasarathi temple. It is there. So this is how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us, that we should respect Govardhan hill. We should not walk on it. We should worship the hill. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you 2 sections of Jiva Goswami's writing about this Govardhan pastime. And if the time permits, if the offering is not ready, then we will read a poem by Srila Rupa Goswami, once again glorifying the same pastime from his perspective. There are some little details to this pastime which Rupa Goswami brings out in his poem. So what I'm going to do is, I have to say that This was translated by Sriman Kushakrata Dasa Prabhu, one of Srila Prabhupada's dearmost disciples who lived in Vrindavan. And it's so poetic. Just like it is said, Srimad Bhagavatam became more nectarian because it came from the lips, from the mouth of Jiva Goswami. So Kushakrata Dasa Prabhu's translation is extraordinarily sweet. So just listen to this. So this is the end of Ashwin month, and so this is a conversation between two court poets who are talking among reciting this. On the new moon day, Amavasya, was observed the blissful festival of lamps, which bears the name Deepavali. On the following day, the people of Braja, taking shelter of the supreme shelter, Sri Krishna, observed the festival. Sri Krishna had described it to them. So Krishna had already stopped Indra Yajna. Krishna had asked them to worship Govardhan hill. That's happening. So decorating the circle of Govardhan's summit with many wonderful and colorful banners, and worshipping Govardhan with very fragrant water for washing the feet, Padya, and with hosts of other gifts, the people of Braja placed on the four sides of Govardhan hill many hills made of food, hills with trickling waterfalls of ghee, colorful mountain minerals made of varieties of colorful vegetables, running mountain brooks of milk and lakes of yogurt. Important to know, they made lakes of yogurt and rivers of milk. Before the hills were many apupa and sashkuli cakes. Those places where they made these hills of these sweets, those hills were named after these sweets. So they were called Apupa Kuta, hills of Apupa, or Sakuli Kuta, or hills of Sakuli. Even now, those peaks are called by those names. So the tumultuous instrumental music played at the festival entered even to Swargaloka, where it gave great pain to Indra's ears. The Ashwini Kumaras, the physicians, Ashwini Kumaras are the demigods who are in charge of medicine. So they commented that the Ashwini Kumaras gave the diagnosis that this sound was the cause of Indra's terrible earache. An earache like javelins suddenly pushed into his ears. It was that painful. When the Anakuda hills of food were prepared before Govardhan hill, a gigantic form of Krishna suddenly became manifest. So that's why this is very good to have a visual. Understand that Govardhan is a devotee of Krishna. So what did Krishna do? Krishna assumed the form of the hill. And Krishna suddenly, a gigantic form of Krishna suddenly became manifest. Sri Krishna's own form was different from this form, only in that Krishna was much smaller. So original Krishna was standing right there. But this separate manifestation came, which is like a huge hill. Now, gazing at the gigantic form, people thought, this giant is tall like a mountain. Is this a dark and fair effulgence? Is it a dark cloud with a lightning flash? Is it a mountain with glittering minerals? Is it an expansion of Sri Krishna who defeated Putana? This person's form defeats the mountain of black Anjana. His garments defeat sunrise. His glittering jewel ornaments defeat the sun and all other luminaries. His crown is thousands of glorious flowers. This person, the personified King of mountains, fills our eyes with wonder. Then sweet and charming Krishna, now this is the little Krishna, who is more wise and intelligent than even the demigod Brahma. He respectfully asked, listen to this, what he said. "O Lord, who are you? As though we don't know who this is. Oh Lord, who are you? At first, the divine form made a rumbling sound like a thunderous thunder cloud. Then, very unlike a cloud, he clearly said, "Oh little boy with graceful limbs, like a festival of bliss, I am Govardhan Hill." And then, hearing these words, Sri Krishna, who is the friend of the demigods and devotees, and also the friend of Sri Dham and the cowherd boys, he extended his arm. Krishna extended his arm. All the people are like, they don't know what's going on here. So Krishna extended his arm and he's just waving. Everybody stop. No, don't make any noise, right? Krishna is saying, he extended his arm, silenced the tumultuous cowherd people. And he gravely said, we should offer our respectful obeisances to him. This great and invincible deity has very mercifully manifested his great and expanded form before our very eyes. And saying this, what did he do? He fell down like a stick in front of Govardhan Hill. After speaking these words, Sri Krishna, falling to the ground like a stick, offered respectful obeisances. And Balaram was with him. Okay, he's smiling. He knows the whole story. So his smiling elder brother Balaram also offered respectful obeisances. Their hearts filled with wonder. All the cowherd people also, everybody offered obeisances to the great form Govardhan Hill. As with faithfully folded hands, the people of Braja stood before him, the great form of Govardhan Hill, filling everyone with bliss, and again said, and what did Govardhan speaking now? He said, I am not like other deities. I do not stay aloof from you. Watch before your very eyes. I will eat what you have offered. Having spoken these words, the form Govardhan Hill began to eat. Listen to this. He ate enormous quantities of vegetables. With a single bite, he ate 70 million pounds of rice. Pulling them all to him. He extended his hand, he's grabbing. He's extending his hand and he's grabbing. He's pulling them all to him. He drank a host of tanks, ponds, lakes and rivers. So all these lakes of ghee and milk and everything he drank. Whenever he extended his hand to take another bite, all the people of Braja ran to that place. And just like Chataka birds, they all gazed upon him. Wherever Govardhan was extending the hand, people were running there. And they were like looking at him with amazement. What is he going to do next? What is he going to eat next? So with his right hand, he ate great quantities of vegetables and great hills of rice. And what did he do? Moving his left hand forefinger like this, index finger, as if to insult Indra. He's eating with his right hand, he's wiggling his finger in his left hand, showing to Indra that, look, I defeated you. As the great deity extended this innumerable arm to take mouthful and mouthful, all the devotees were covered and darkened by the shadow of his arm. Because when he extended his arm, there is the shadow of the arm falling on the people. Standing like a painted picture, the people of Braja gazed upon him with wonder. They couldn't move. They were like wonderstruck. What is this? What is going on? And when he had finished eating, not a single grain was left. As the king of mountains thus ate and ate and ate, his great form grew and grew and grew. Pleased, the great deity gave pure bliss to everyone, gave bliss to the frightened. He gave bliss to the frightened children, small children, smiling teenagers, intoxicated with youth, the wonder-filled adults, and the saints filled with devotion. These are different people. Different persons have different moods towards, at that time, seeing Govardhan Hill. And Govardhan reciprocated to each one of them in his own special way. The way he glanced at them, the way he winked at them, it was according to their mood. This is what happened. So from then what he did an amazing thing. From far, far away, taking flood of water, the deity of Govardhan hill, again and again he rinsed his mouth. And not only he rinsed his mouth, he spit it backwards on his back, because this is the hill. So, spitting the water to the place behind him, he made a host of grass suddenly spring. It's so cute. He didn't have water anywhere nearby. He already finished drinking everything that was there. Now he could extend far away and take the water and spit it to the back. And then, this is another very interesting thing. After rinsing his mouth, the deity of Govardhan hill, employing giant toothpicks of bamboo canes, cleaned the food from between his teeth. By all these activities, he filled the people of Braja with bliss. Then, chewing millions and billions of betel nuts, the deity of Govardhan hill blossomed with bliss. His face became effulgent like the morning sun. Look at the picture. His face became, this was our Govardhan hill last year. We have to appreciate the devotees who made this, It shows that how with so much of devotion they have made this hill. So Govardhan hill, even though he was huge, he was very ecstatic, he was very effulgent, he was very smiling, and he was very satisfied. He said, I am not like your other demigods here. I will accept everything you have given to me. He expressed his wish, he showed his desires, he accepted the offerings, he showed his satisfaction, he extended his blessings to the people who came there. When the time for offering Arati came, everybody was wondering, how can we offer Arati to this gigantic deity? They thought of various possible solutions. How are we going to do Arati? This hill is so huge. Gently smiling, Sri Krishna solved the problem. Krishna manifested a gigantic tray on which there were thousands of lamps. As the people moved the tray, the lamp glistened with great wonder. Desiring various benedictions and thinking, may this deity of Govardhan hill speak to us. The people of Braja bowed their heads, folded their hands, offered prayers. When they raised their heads, the deity of Govardhan hill began to offer benedictions. He offered boon after boon after boon, whatever the people wished, and then he suddenly disappeared. Like falling sticks, everyone offered respectful obeisances. For 2 or 3 moments, everyone was stunned. They were motionless like a painted picture. When they had returned to external consciousness, Sri Krishna told all who had come to Govardhan hill festival, aha! You see, all of you saw Govardhan hill mercifully manifest his own enormous form. You saw him eat all offerings. He will personally tear apart anyone who dishonors him. And saying like that, Krishna said, he has great power. So everybody following this, Krishna engaged them in the worship of the cows. Where is our Pandranga Gopal group? I don't know if the offering has come or not. I would like to know. So, saying all of this, Krishna instructed the Brajavasis how to worship the cows, how to circumambulate, and as I was explaining, they went around the Govardhan hill and came back. And then, following that, when they came back, by that time, Indra had already figured out that here, he didn't get any offering, and so he was really mad. And he sent these thunderous clouds. It is said that the clouds that they came were Samvartaka clouds. They were the kind of clouds which come at the time of universal destruction. They are not ordinary clouds. And he sent his thunderbolt weapon. He sent hail. He sent rain. Rain was coming like in sharp, like coming from a gun or something. It was not an ordinary rain or anything. So all the people had gathered around the hill, and Krishna will tell them, don't worry. At first they took shelter between the stones or under the trees and all. They could see this is not going to work. And cows are not very smart animals, They don't know how to protect themselves. And thereby Krishna is their protector. And so Krishna will say, don't worry. What is the story?
You have half an hour.
Oh, wonderful. We'll be able to hear Rupa Goswami's poem. So then, rain and hail fell like arrows from Indra's bow. Incessant thunder made it seem the sun had fallen from the sky. When the cowherd people approached him, Krishna placed Govardhan hill in his hand. You will see in Rupa Goswami's poem at one point, he says, when Mother Yashoda was showing so much of anxiety, Mother Yashoda and Rohini were holding Krishna from both the sides on his stomach. And they were looking at Krishna. And Mother Yashoda is very eager. He wants to feed him something. Krishna is so small, 7-year-old boy. He's going to be weak. And then Krishna senses Mother Yashoda's anxiety. And you know what he did? Nobody knew exactly how he picked up the hill, in fact. But it is also explained. He picked it up, but nobody knew how he picked it. But he shifted the hill to the tip of his little pinky. It's like just to show how casual he is. He was holding it in his left hand and suddenly he put it on the tip of his fingertip. That's what he did. And so this big heavy rain was falling. When Indra sent so many clouds with incessant torrential rains to bring fear and suffering, the kind protector Sri Krishna thought, Indra is very proud. He has only contempt for me and my followers. In his heart, he thinks he is far superior to me. Now I will break his pride into pieces. The people of Braja has taken shelter of me. They are my followers and bring great joy to my heart. They are as dear to me as my own life's breath. Although Krishna and Balaram had not discussed whether Krishna should lift Govardhan hill, but out of love, they always knew each other's heart. It was as if they had carefully discussed it. Because there is not a verbal communication. Without any words, there is a communication going on between Krishna and Balaram during this whole event, all this great pastime. As he was lifting Govardhan hill, Sri Krishna, with deep, sweet and glorious words, drowning out the proud sounds of thunder, very clearly and with great affection, spoke to the cowherd people of Mathura Mandala, who were frightened for no reason, whose bodily hairs were standing erect, seemed like a host of sewing needles. Their hairs in their body were standing up like needles. Krishna's hairs were also standing up when he lifted the hill. So each word, this is very interesting, each word sustained for a long time, again and again. He called out the word, oh, oh, when he called his parents. He began by saying, oh mother, oh father, don't delay. Everyone, please come here. Oh saintly people, taking all your possessions with you, please come here. Pulling Balaram to his side, Krishna again said to the cowherd people, Father, please don't worry. Mother, please don't feel unhappy. Oh friends, please be peaceful. For me, this is not the slightest labor. Enjoying pastimes of being lifted into the air, Govardhan hill, the king of mountains, now mercifully rests upon my hand. He has now become as light as a cotton swab. Now, this is a very interesting part. Krishna says, Krishna is seeing a huge depression within the heart of the Govardhan hill. He's saying, here is the depression under Govardhan hill. Broad stairways lead down to this depression. When I look at it, I see it is like the subterranean heavenly planet, Patala Loka. It is completely dry. There is no water, there is no mud, it is not at all slippery. Seeing that the people did not think him able to continue holding the hill, Sri Krishna now holding the hill only halfway, he said, O saintly people, please don't go away on my mother's advice. How can Govardhan, the king of mountain, slip now from my hand? I'm already holding it. How can he slip? tremble. My hands will tremble if you don't come very quickly under the hill. So they didn't go under the hill because they wanted to be protected. They went under the hill out of love for Krishna. And usually when Krishna goes for cowherding every day, when he goes, the people of Vrindavan are in anxiety. When is he going to come back? The gopis and the cowherd boys. When he come back in the evening time, all the birds and bees and the plants in the forest, everybody is worried. When is Krishna coming back? So during this Govardhan lila, all the residents who stood under the Govardhan hill had 7 days continuously able to see Krishna. They did not close their eyes, they did not sleep, they did not eat, they were simply looking at Krishna. And in Rupa Goswami's poetry, there is an interesting comment by Srimati Radharani. He is speaking to Vishakha, and he is telling to Vishakha, so how it is that, we always desire to see Krishna. Now we are seeing Krishna, and he's here, he's holding this heavy hill in his hand. It's so heavy for him, our hearts are breaking. How can we bear this? This is their thought. Every person thinks differently, but everybody was together 7 days, fully attracted to Krishna. There was no other thought. This is the beauty of Govardhan Lila. So then, everybody went under the hill. The people descended. It is through the stairway, they went into this big hole, right in the middle of the hill. It was like a hole within the hill. They went through the stairway. Where did they go? They entered an effulgent realm, glistening with jewels. It was like a palace with jewel walls. Above them, the ceiling beautiful and effulgent like the wall. Inside was this mosaic. The ground was a mosaic of jewels, pleasing to the touch. It was divided into different areas. There were ample and appropriate places for everyone. Glistening clear water was available as needed. Pleasing breeze gently flew. We always see the Govardhan picture where everybody is standing around, that's the artist's depiction. But this is a more detailed understanding. So it was not any wet place, it was not a muddy place, it was like a palatial place, studded with jewels and gems, and that is where all these residents, it was like a huge palace where they were standing. And they could see this hill on the top. The people of Braja, happily and thirstily, gazed at Krishna. And he held Govardhan hill gracefully in his left hand, as he playfully smiled, as his form and virtues charming, he stood on the mosaic ground before them. He sometimes played on the bamboo flute with his right hand. He is holding the hill with his left hand. He has a flute in his right hand, and sometimes he would rest his hand on the shoulder of a friend. And he is smiling at the people who are assembled there. He happily rested his right hand on a friend's shoulder. Although the people felt some fears, they gazed at him, they kept silent. Govardhan Hill was then like a wonderful and colorful jewel palace. And Krishna was like a glorious sapphire pillar in the midst of that place. The whole thing was like a palace studded with jewels. In the middle of that, Krishna was like a sapphire pillar. And what was Krishna's arms like? His arms glistened like a jewel pillar. Above it, every direction was Govardhan Hill, glorious like a great umbrella. The falling rain was like a string of pearls, decorating that umbrella on every side. To the people of Braja, everything was glorious and opulent. It reminded me so much of like when we do Abhishek, we finally in the last part of it we have the sieve in which we pour water. Somebody took some pictures of it one time, and I had it looked exactly like a string of pearls, the water falling. So 6 kilometers size Govardhan Hill, it is in the hands of baby Krishna, 7-year-old Krishna. And here was right in the middle of that, this huge palace studded with gems. Krishna standing there in the middle like a sapphire pillar by his complexion. And his hand was like a jeweled stick holding this. And this whole thing, and there was so much of happiness within that circle, nobody can begin to explain. And it is explained that when Indra sent his messengers to find what is going on, he came to know that there is so much happiness there. And he sent thunderbolt weapon, and it couldn't touch, not even a leaf fell on Govardhan hill. So that's another big story. So having said this much, I thought I'll share with you Rupa Goswami's poem called Prayer to Sri Govardhana Dhara. And here you will see how Srimati Radharani is speaking to Vishaka, how Mother Yashoda is speaking to, thinking what she is thinking, what Nanda Maharaj is thinking. And in the end, Rupa Goswami says, all kinds of philosophical speculations, it is of no use. Please give us a drop of pure love that completely eclipses the moon of non-devotional philosophy. So we study philosophy for purification of our brain. We need to understand philosophy. But all Rupa Goswami is asking for is a drop of love for Krishna. So this is very beautiful. Is the curtain open? It's closed. Okay. So, yeah. So this is called the prayer to Sri Govardhana Dhara, Lord Krishna, the lifter of Govardhana hill. Jamajam iti varshadi sthanita chakra vikridhaya vimustara vimandale ganagadhavi akhandale narakshat dharani dharo dhriti padu kudumbiniya sadarya yudarunam braja purandarasthe dharam. May the king of Braja, who, when Indra covered the sun with clouds, and sent great rains, making tumultuous sounds of jam-jam, with the playing of thunder, protected his relatives by lifting a great hill, break apart all of your fears. So the residents of Vrindavan were very much afraid. They thought they have offended Indra. And Krishna proved that there is no need to be afraid of anything by giving them full protection. So, this is what Rupa Goswami is saying. May such a Lord break apart all our fears. Mahaheduvadair vidir nendrayagam giri brahmano pasti vistirna ragam Sapatyeka yukti krithabhiravargam purodatta govardhana kshamavritagram. O Lord, who by speaking with great logic stopped the Indra Yajna, who is very attached to worshipping the Brahmanas and Govardhana hill, who convinced the cowherd men in a moment, who at once began to worship the Govardhan hill. Priyasam sinibir, dhalottam sinibir, virajat pradhabhi, kumara gadhabhi, stavabdhi kumarai, apispharatarai, sahavyagirantam, prashunai dharamtam. Who along with the gopi girls, speaking words of praise, and dressed in splendid garments and crowns of flower petals, and also, along with Gopa boys, loudly speaking many prayers, showered flowers on the hill. Giristula dehena bhuktopaharam varasrini santoshita bhiradharam samuttunga shringavali baddhachailam kramat priyamanam parikramya shailam. He who assumed a form as large as a mountain, and ate the offered foodstuffs, who pleased the gopis by fulfilling all their desires, who decorated the hill's peaks with many flags, who pleased the hill by circumambulating it. This is why we also follow in the footsteps of Krishna. We go to Govardhan Parikram, circumambulate the hill, just as Krishna did, because that is what was very pleasing to Krishna. Krishna not only assumed the form of hill, he also circumambulated it, playing with his cowherd friends, playing with his cowherding stick, dancing around the hill. That's how he circumambulated. And Maghatvansha Samram Bhadaswarganade Samandha Kilarabdha Gosta Pramadhe Muhurvashadi Channa Dikchakravale Sadam Holi Nirghoshamam Bodha Jale Muhur Brishtikinnam Paritrasya Bhinnam Vrajesha Pradhanam Tadim Vallavanam Vilokyaptashitam Gavalam Chabhigam Kripabhi Samunnam Spurat Premanunnam Tadasavyahastena Hastindrakelam Samudritya Govardhanam Savakelam Abhadram Tam Abram Idam Shailarajam Mudabhibratam Vibramajjantu Bhajam, who, when because of the Indra Yajna was stopped, the king of Swarga filled the horizons with thundering clouds, showering rain to destroy Vraja. You saw Nanda and other Gopas distressed by the constant rain and broken with fear, and the cows cold and frightened. Then, impelled by love for your friends and melting with compassion, with your left hand, to everyone's astonishment, like a playful, regal elephant, casually and happily lifted and continued to hold Govardhan Hill, the great regal mountain that licks the sky. Pravistadimata katham shokabhare paribramjamane sudemai udhare abhuvan bhavanto vinasto pasarga nachitta vidatta brahmamvantu varga, who said, O mother, why are you unhappy when your son is noble and generous? Friends, your troubles are over. Have no doubts in your heart. Hadattavadidir vidheyam nabhidi krideyam vishalam maya shailasala tadasyam prahastat avatnadaharsha vihasyamaresham kurudvam pravesham. These troubles are over. Do not be afraid. I have now made this hill into a great house. Don't take this rain seriously. Laugh at Indra and enter here. So that whole place was made into like a palace. The whole within the hill, it was studded with sapphires and gems. It was not a muddy place. So Krishna said, please enter. Don't be afraid of Indra. Idishvairam asvaistadir gopa vrindai parananda sandeepitasya ravindai girer gatram asadya harmyopamanam chireladi harshai parisyutamanam, who was again and again glorified by the Gopas, as with lotus faces, glowing with transcendental happiness and breathing a sigh of relief, they entered the palace like a cavity under the hill. They entered the palace like a cavity under the hill. That was the same thing that was written by Jiva Goswami. Rupa Goswami wrote this poem obviously prior to that, because Jiva Goswami writes later. Girindram Gurum Komala Panchashake Katham Handadatte Sakhate Vishake Purastat Amum Prekshya Hachintayedam Muhur Mamakinam Manoyati Bhedam. This is Radharani speaking to her friend Vishakha Devi. She is saying, about whom Sri Radha said, Vishakha, how is it that your friend is now holding this great heavy mountain on his delicate 5 fingers? When I see him in this way, my mind splits with anxiety. So our Acharya said, Radharani was so happy that they are all under the hill. But when they came under the hill, they are with Krishna for 7 whole days and nights. And here they have to see this little boy Krishna holding the hill in his heavy hill in his hand. Why we have to be tortured like this? Seeing Krishna holding this heavy hill in his hand. So Radharani is telling to Vishaka, my dear Vishaka, when I see him in this way, my mind splits with anxiety. Stanadbhi kathore, ghanaidvandahore, brahmadvadamale, hatha shetrakale, ghanasparshi kudam, vahan annakudam, kadam tsyanna kantam, sarojakshi tanta. O lotus-eyed one, how is it that at this time, when the directions are darkened with terrible thundering clouds and garlanded with hurricane winds, my lover does not feel tired by lifting this great hill, which has just eaten so many offerings of food, and which has many tall peaks that touch the sky? How is it that Krishna is not feeling tired? Natishtanti goshte kathoram gadanda kiyantotra gopas samantat prachanda Shirisha prasuna valissu kumarye Dridhatu iyam bhuri ashmin kimarye. In Braja, Radharani is asking, in Braja, are there not many powerful Gopa men? Their bodies hard with muscles. The cowherding people are not weaklings. There are very strong people. In the Braja Mandal, are there not people who are very physically strong? Who have strong muscles? Oh noble lady, why should the heavy shaking hill be held by someone as delicate as a host of Sirisha flowers? Krishna, Radharani is saying he's like a Sirisha flower. Why should he be holding this heavy hill? And remember in the beginning, he had eaten so much the Govardhan has become so huge. And this is this little boy lifting this hill. Why should Krishna hold this hill? Why can't these strong men hold it? Giretata Govardhana Prathaneyam Vapustulanali Lakhistam Vidheyam Bhavantam Yathadharayan Esha Haste Nathatte Shramam Mangalatman Namaste. O Father Govardhana, now she is praying to Govardhan Hill. I pray to you, please become as light as a big kadamba flower, so that he will not become tired as he holds you in his hand. O auspicious one, I bow down and offer my respectful obeisances to you. So Radharani is happy to be under the hill, but she is also very anxious that Krishna will get tired. He is praying to Govardhan Hill, please become as light as a kadamba flower. Brahmat kuntalanta smidhatyotakantam lasatganta shobham krita sheshalobham spurannetralasyam murare swamasyam varakudashali spudam lokayali. O sincere and noble friend, please gaze now at Murari's face, splendid with a smile at the edge of its moving locks of hair, with glistening cheeks and dancing and glittering eyes, and deeply in love with us all. As Krishna is standing there holding the Govardhan Hill, everyone can feel his love for them. He is the protector of the cows and the Brajavasis. Nipiye Radha Lathavan Marandam Vara Prema Saurabhya Purat Amandam Dadhanam Madam Bringavattunga Kunjam Varangi Chalapanga Bhangapta Pujam, who became like an intoxicated, loudly humming black bee, drinking from the flowering wine of Radha's voice, this honey, which was sweeter than the flood of sweet fragrance of the purest love, who was worshipped by the waves of beautiful Radha's restless sidelong glances. Kadam Namadhadyat Shudaksha Matunda Shishurme Garistam Girindram Mukunda tadetasya tunde hathat arpayaram brajadisha dadna chidam kandasaram. Now Mother Yashoda is speaking. Mother Yashoda said, how can my boy Mukunda hold up this heavy king of hills when his stomach has become so thin with hunger, because 7 days he is not eating anything? O king of Braja, she is telling to Nanda Maharaj, you must by force feed him, make him eat, putting this sweetened yogurt in his mouth. But what was Nanda Maharaj doing? He was standing there staring at Krishna. He never even closed his eyes. He did not even sleep. He was standing there day and night, 7 days. Mahabharanishte sthite te kanishte lepe vatsanilam varodham apidham avastabhya sattvam tadasmai balatvam dadaswa vilambham swahastav alambham. O Neelambara Balarama, everybody knows Balaram is stronger than Krishna, right? So, O Neelambara Balaram, I am pained now that your younger brother is holding up this great burden. Show your strength, lend him a hand. So sweet, you know. Idis Snigdhavarnam Samakarnayantam Giram Mathurenam Chanirvaryanantam Kanishthanguli Shringa Vinyasta Gotram Pariprinita Vyagra Gopala Gotram. Who, hearing these affectionate words from his mother and glancing at her, what did he do? He casually shifted the hill to the tip of his little finger. Here is Mother Yashoda, worried, sick. This poor boy, his stomach is so small. He cannot even stand up. Nanda Maharaj, please feed him some sweet rice. Why can't strong men hold this hill? Mother Yashoda is in anxiety. And what did he do? Kanistanguli Shringa Vinyasta Gatra. He said, his mother glancing at her, he casually shifting the hill to the tip of the little finger and holding it with bravado. He's pacified the worried gopas. Ami Piprabhavai Kudobhut Akunda Shishurthuli Keli Padukshi Rakanta Vibhatyatya Sapta Bhiro Bhudiparam Girim Yachiratas Esha Kailasa Saram. About whom the gopis, now the gopis are talking, they are telling, how did this 7-year-old boy who still plays in the dust, who still practically has his mother's milk in his throat, get the power to lift for so long this hill, which is heavier than Mount Kailash? Nashankadhare Brahmshane Samaka Asman Nakhagre Shahelam Vahat Esha Yasmat Girirdi Karindragra Haste Daravat Buje Pashyatasya Spurat Adhyatavat. So, because he holds it on the tip of his finger with such casual playfulness, we do not fear the hill will fall. Look, the hill in his hand is like the earth at the end of the trunk of regal elephants that holds up the directions. There are 4 regal elephants supposed to be holding the directions. So the hill is standing in the tip of the finger of Krishna, just like the regal elephants holding the earth. Idis paratare kshanai mukta bhogai brajendrena shaddam dridha priti yogai muhur bhallavai vikshyamanasya chandram puras saptaratnantaratyatta tandram. For the moon, of whose face King Nanda and the Gopas, who had completely given up eating, who were full of transcendental love, gazed with great stars of wide open eyes, who gave up sleeping for 7 nights. Tadiddhamakirnan samirair udirnan visrittam budharan dhanuryasiharan trinikritya ghoran sahasram suchauran duranto lusabdhan kridavanjanabdhan, who mocked Indra's terrible lightning-filled, sun-eclipsing, ferociously thundering clouds, propelled by hurricane winds and garlanded with rainbows. Ahankara pankavali lupta drishte brajesha vadishtam parinthoru vrishte balercha durmanantin vispurantam nirakritya dustari dande durantam. We have only 3 more verses. He who drove away the false pride of blinded with mud of ego, rain sending Indra, blinded with mud of ego, rain sending Indra, who restored prosperity to Braja, who shows no limit in punishing the wicked. Visistoluniras sajincha samiras tadidhi karala yayurme kamala ravischambarandai vibhatye shashanta kridanda purare bahiryada sura, who said, the great rains, the hurricane winds making sounds of jinja and lightning, terrible garlands of clouds have all gone. The sun peacefully shines in the sky, O heroes, flooded with bliss, now you may all go outside. Idi prochyanishas tiratya nivaram yatha purva vinyasta shailendra bharam dedikshira lilan kurai bhavanibhir mudhakkiryamanam yasastavinabhi, who after speaking these words made your kinsmen go out, who placed the great hill where it was before, and who, the beautiful gopis, showered with yogurt, milk, grains and sprouts. This is Rupa Goswami's final thing. Vayam hanta govinda saundaryavantam namaskur mahe sharma hetor bhavantam tvaispashta nistyuta bhuyaschidindum mudanas prasadi kuru prema bindum. O handsome Lord Govinda, we happily bow down to offer our respects to you. Please be kind and give us a drop of pure love that completely eclipses the mood of non-devotional poetry. So all this non-devotional philosophy, there are so many scholars in this world who speak great philosophy. There is no use to that. Just one more verse, and that is the last one. There is no use, please give me one drop of love for you. This is the last one. Shubhya dambholi jrimbottara ladhaghana gadharamba gambhira karma nishtambo jambha virigiri dhridi chadulat vikramat yena chakre tanva nindandam indi varadala vallabhi nandat indindarabham tvam govindya mandalaya shashi vandanananda vande mahitvam. O Lord, who by strongly lifting Govardhan hill humbled Indra, who took his thunderbolt and sent many terrible clouds, O Lord, who with your transcendental form eclipses the splendor of swarms of black bees, delighted by palaces' roofs decorated with blue lotus petals, O Lord Govinda, O bliss of Nanda's house, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So once this whole Govardhan lila was finished and Indra came to his senses, there is this whole section where Indra was very much afraid to come near Krishna. He approaches Surabhi cow, who is the mother of cows, and Indra, along with the Surabhi cows and all the demigods, the Gandharvas and the Yakshas and the Kinnaras and Lord Brahma, they all approach Krishna in a secluded place and they worship. And there the Surabhi cow offers her milk, and Krishna was bathed in that milk